Hello and welcome back to another lap guide video. My name is Bart and today we'll be taking the FIA 4 car and iRacing around the Oulton Park International Circuit. Here's my hot lap. Alright, heading down the main straight at Oulton Park now. Quite a tricky track this. A little bit of an older model. Into the first corner, into Old Hall, as it's known. Most important thing here, just for preparing, the straight is not straight, okay? So, okay, I guess it's not really straight, but you know what I mean. And because of that, it's really important to make sure your positioning is correct every single time, because the first corner, it's kind of always moving. You can see it on the entry, the white line's not really straight. It's not even with the edge of the track, so that's not ideal for us. But to get around that, we're going to be intelligent, yes. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we're braking this way. You see the angle of the white line here, and using all the track here. So we're going to brake in a straight line here. We're not worried that the white line goes like this. We're not going to brake. We're not going to be a sheep and just brake into the corner like that. We're going to make sure we've got a straight line here with this, with the way the white line's going towards the barrier at this point, to try and open up the corner as much as possible on the entry. You got a good reference here in this turning board to make sure you're straight at that point. And you see braking reference for me is pretty much here, which is when the white line starts to deviate to the left, or it's the end of this barrier, this advertising board on the left-hand side. So quite late, but it's important to be late here. I know it's important to be late at a lot of corners, but this one especially, if you're early, you get a lot of understeer on exit. Like you just end up seeing there because it's such a long corner for a long, long time, and you end up doing track limits. So to start with, let's just do this. Okay, so we're in fifth gear. We're braking quite late. Not a big brake, enough to get it rotated. So I'm already off the brake at this point. Start to feed the throttle as soon as I can. Get the car lined up. Try and take the inside curb. This is your apex point here, right? The end, this indentation on the curb. It's all soft on iRacing, very, very soft. So you can use all of this. You can even rut in a little bit closer. This part of the dirt here is like a rut. You can kind of drive through. So you can use that as well. You can see I'm not quite getting to full. It's not the end of the world. Like, let's be honest, like me not going to full throttle in this high-speed corner, not the end of the world. What's more important, I pushed the braking, opened up the exit. I got on throttle quickly, so I was maintaining that speed in a low-powered car. If I don't quite get to full, you see I'm struggling here. I'm just managing it, because if I go to full, I'll probably feel like I go off the track. That's not the end of the world. Not ideal, but not the end of the world. All right, so the car comes out here on the exit. This is 100% legal, no off-track. So at the moment, with the track limits on the exit of Old Hall, right tires on the red and white, all good. So just run this. And this is all like fake Astro, so it's grippy as normal track for some reason. I know it looks like grass. Don't ask me, ask iRacing. You can run that fine. Just make sure you get over before the end of the curb, because that is actual grass and will slow you down and give you an off track. So don't try to be on that bit. Don't be a hero. Just get back over after you've used all the track limits there. All right. So left, smooth around this kink. This kink's not a corner for us. Please don't make it trickier than it needs to be. Line up into Cascades, turn 2. From my point of view, braking, and you got this little dip here around just before the braking zone. This car, quite often GT cars, you're braking just before it. Make sure you're on the white line before you go down this dip. Very, very important. Okay, braking just as you kind of sit down the dip. Again, you could say, "Oh, what's your reference?" I mean, there are some references, but they're not very good, right? You got like the barrier on the left hand side changing to black, tire bundle here, and you got this advertising here. But really, for me, just feel the dip, notice the dip, and look into the corner. It's coming at you quite quickly. Just make sure you're on the white line, and when you kind of reach the bottom of this dip, as I said, that's when you kind of compress the brake. If you do it over the dip, it unsettles the car because you're pitching the car over the bump, and the rear goes light. So if you just wait a little bit longer, it'll feel just as good through the corner, and you'll have just braked a bit later. All right, brake down to fourth gear. You can see it's a late gear change. That's generally because you don't want to like overslow the car too much in the entry. It's such a long corner, and you don't want to get too much rotation too early. So you can see at this point, okay, braking off the brake. Now at this point, I want to rotate the car a little bit more. Use the camber, so don't be afraid to run up to about here if need be. Kind of keep the car in this half of the track, in this lane where the camber is. Get on throttle. As soon as you feel like it grips, you can see it's before actually reaching inside curb. Get on throttle. The car's going to grip really nicely in the camber. The curb really hooks the car around as well, so if you know you're going to make it back to that, get onto throttle, force the car out wide. This track, I don't know, I post something about it. It's really strange. For this car, for me, I couldn't do more. Some cars I feel like I can run around if I get the timing right. This one, in terms of off tracks, it was just running my right tires, just clipping the edge of this red and white was okay. This is pretty much the limit. Not running wider than this tarmac strip here for the whole distance of the curb, the exit curb here. Be careful. Super easy off track to get. Super annoying. It's really crap, actually. All right, into island bend now. Flat out left-hander. Not much to say here. Just be smooth on the steering. You're going to give away a lot of time if you're smooth. If you're too aggressive on the steering, and if you're just not patient enough. So see, your reference to turn in and change gear is basically the end of the cut through here at this point. When track goes to the right, try to meet the end of the apex curb. That's where you're looking in. Okay, clip that nicely. Smooth the steering. I could have brought it over earlier to the left, but that would just upset the car and kill time. So smooth. Don't let the tires scrub too much. Don't put unnecessary load through the tire. Bring it back to the left-hand side. Make sure on the white line with time to spare. This is not a GT car. There's no excuse for you not to be on the white line at the right point. And this, again, is why it's important to turn in at the right point for island bend. Because if you don't turn at the correct point there, you actually find yourself over here too early and then being pushed out or never making it back. Blah, blah, blah. But if you've got a good sequence here and you're consistent with that, you'll always make it back here, left-hand side of the track at the right time. All right. Heavy braking zone now into Shell Oils. Really tricky uphill banked hairpin. Not as slow as you think. I know, look, big scary corner. I'm going very fast, not much runoff. Ignore that. It's got a lot of camber. You can run in very deep. You can push the entry a lot. So important to do that. Again, reference-wise, sorry, but there's a little bit of that curvy on the right-hand side. But for me, it's this bump. You got this crest here. Boop. So as soon as you hit that crest, that's about where you're braking here. Really heavy hit the brakes. Your heaviest braking zone on the whole track. Okay, down to third gear now. Very aggressive on the brakes, as I said. You're kind of forced to peel off the brake just because you're reaching the camber at this point. Aim, it's honestly a double apex corner. So you go past the first apex, you could say here, run the car up to here, looking up there. You can go to second here. I prefer third in this car. I felt second just wheel spin and like stop the car too much. And see the car almost comes back a little bit. We don't quite make it down to the apex again, but certainly the way you look at it is I just run past the curb on the entry. My slowest point kind of uphill in the camber, about car width off the inside. Then I get on throttle. Force the car out to the exit curb. Very aggressive on the throttle though. Straight to full pretty much. Bring the car over to the right-hand side to prepare yourself for the first chicane. For Britons, I believe it's called. So make sure you're all the way over to the right-hand side here. All about opening up this right. Don't confuse yourself. Don't think I've got this left hand, it's right hand, it's left-hander, and it's amazing. Just, it's a right-hander. It's a right-hand corner that exit onto a straight, okay? It's a right-hander I want a good exit out of. So, and this just happens to be with a kink in our braking zone. That's the easiest way to think about it. So I'm going to bring the car positioning-wise. So I'm over to the left as much as possible, as much as tire bundle lets me, to try and open up this right-hander for the exit, okay? So braking just after I turn in. You see, I come off the brake now because now I have to rotate the car more. So a bit more braking initially down to fourth. Come off the brake a little bit so we don't lock up. So we can position the car all the way to the left. You can't hold much brake over that curve just because there's no grip and the car kind of bounces over it. So focus on the positioning. If you have to brake 2-3 meters earlier to get all the way over to the left, do it. Trust me, much more important. Okay, bit of braking, off. Now back on again. As soon as I land there and I'm back on the tarmac and I've got the car straight, This is where I do the bulk of my braking for this corner. Tricky, but it'll help you be able to push entry more. So brake a bit more, come off, open up the corner, back on again down to third, and a gear change in each of those 2 phases of the braking. All right. They come off the brake. It's like a very short, straight braking zone there. Use the right-hand curb to hook the car up all the way up to the right-hand side tire bundle, as close as you can get. Feed the throttle nicely. You're always going to feel like you're really limited on the exit here with track. Be careful because it's very easy to get off track, dipping a wheel in the grass and hurting your exit potentially as well. So if you can be patient here and get a good exit, not run on the grass, you gain so much time. It's all about that positioning, as we said. All right, full throttle now up the hill, let the car run out. Bring the car, I'll keep the car on the right for now, shorten distance. Bring the car back over to the left-hand side for the braking, for the second chicane, for the Knickerbrook chicane, as I call it. All right, so braking-wise, you're braking about 70 meters before the corner. A bit before this 50-meter board is your best reference here. Hard hit of the brakes. Go down to third gear. Not quite 100% pressure, but pretty hard. Not for that long. The way I want us to think about this corner, rather than going again, oh, look, I've got this right-hander and left-hander and the right-hander, and it's all a bit confusing. This right-hander has got a really long exit, really important to be good out of this corner. Okay, so we want the exit out of here. And our slowest point, we're braking into here, but our slowest point is this bit. So effectively, if we treat this like one corner, which is the easiest thing to do, and I think the best for lap time, if we treat this all as one corner, this is all a braking zone. This is our slowest point in the corner, and this is our accelerate. This is our start of our exit. And this is where we're going to full throttle, like out of here. So really, it's like entry, mid-corner, exit. And it can be a little bit weird to think of it that way, but trust me, it's a good way to think about it. So if that's the case, from here to here, we're not worried about getting back on the throttle because there's no exit that matters between here and here. All that matters here, really, is just carrying speed and be late on the brakes, okay? So try to push the entry here, get as close to this tire bundle as possible. This curve's completely flat. You see, I get on the throttle a little bit. This is more about just selling the rear of the car. So if you feel like the car's going to move around and we've wasted a bit of time, okay, get on throttle a bit, but just keep carrying speed. Keep pushing up to this point. Push that entry. Okay. Now try and prepare the car as much as possible to the left. This is to open up the exit now. Left-hand side tires all the way on this curve on the left-hand side. Get to throttle. Basically, as early as you can, get to throttle there while still thinking you can make it back to the white line here on the left-hand side. You see, I just make it back. You don't need to be... It's weird. You don't want to be like left tire fully on the white line here just because of the shape of the track. It drops away to the left-hand side and the way the camber is here. I find you don't actually want your left tire to touch the white line, but you want it very, very close. So if I go back a little bit, you see it's basically within a tire width of the left-hand side of the track, just the way the camber of the track is and stuff like that. So that's your reference. I want you to reach this point while getting the throttle as early as possible. And that's going to take some practice, right? So the first part of the corner, push that braking. The left-hander, okay, wait, hook it up on the curb. Get on throttle as soon as I can while still thinking I can make it back to here. Because obviously the earlier you get on throttle, the more you can be pushed out to the right-hand side, the harder it's going to be to get back to the left. And then here, when we go into the Knickerbrook, part lift, okay? Could do a full lift, but I think it's better to do a part lift, especially if the car's a good setup because you won't need the rotation. If you're really understeering, okay, you can do an aggressive lift, but it's better to just be smooth in the steering, carry some throttle the whole time. So you're down to about 60% for me here. Use all the curb. All of that curb, just shorten the distance, get you across the inside of the corner. As soon as you get over that curb and the car lands, it's settled, go to full throttle. Let the car run out. You can run in this little groove over the exit curb here. No problems with that. Full throttle, up to fourth gear. That whole section's in third, by the way, in this car. Bring the car over to the right-hand side of the track, back to the left. Make sure you open up the track correctly there for Druids, the next right-hander coming up. Tricky braking zone because you're never quite straight. We're talking about this at the first corner, but it's very true here. Some people try to be like, okay, I'll turn and then brake in a straight line with the track, or I'll turn and point this way. And it's all a bit tricky. For me, I think you've just got to kind of... you're going to be constantly turning when you're braking. It's not ideal, but you can see here, I just kind of get the car straight for a second. Aim for this marshal's hut to be straight in that direction, even if you're not fully on the white line. Okay, so you can see I'm not fully on the white line here, but I've got the car pointing as best I can towards this marshal's hut. A little bit of room to trying to use all the track, but it's difficult. Like I said, you can use all of it, but then you wouldn't be straight. You'd lock up and compromise your braking. So just try to get it straight with this marshal's post here. Not too heavy a brake, just a decent hit. Get on the brakes, hold fifth gear here, get on throttle. This is where your throttle pickup point should be, is at this the start of this first curb. In some GT cars, you brake in, you brake in and then you rotate the car here and you get on throttle because you can't take the right-hander flat otherwise. Not true in a single-seater, especially not in this car. For me, you brake to this point and you want to get on throttle as early as possible. Best rotation possible. So it's all about trying to make the rest of this have like less of an angle to the rest of the corner. Get as much rotation done as possible. So we're not trying to like clip the start of the curb. We're trying to come around the back of it. So you see, I'm going to get my right tires on the white line towards the end of this first curb on throttle at this point. Okay, so the car hooks up there nicely. Full throttle now. Don't worry about that second curb. It's a fake apex. It's just a judgment for how wide we are. No problems. Flat, let the car run out. Should be forced onto the exit curb here. Can do on the grass if you want. Pretty lenient there. Okay, into the last quarter now, into Lodge. So, braking reference, there isn't much. There's a turning board, which we're braking way after, and there's a marshal's hut, which we're braking before. So using that as your best reference really is just, okay, where am I braking in comparison to this marshal's hut? You've also got, again, a lot of bumps in the tracks. You can kind of see here. There's the turning board, there's a crest, and then as I go down into this little compression here, that's when I usually hit the brake. Okay, very hard hit the brake here. You can see I actually hit 100% for a second. You have a lot of grip initially. The problem is as you go into this bit, you can see that the track's going to go downhill. The track actually goes away from you. So if you try to brake straight and hold the brake here, you lose braking performance. You take a lot of extra track. You slow the car down a lot. So the start of the braking zone is just a normal hard braking zone, very normal. Okay, when we reach the marshal's hut or this bin here, this is where you start coming off the brake. You turn in and you aim to be here. The top. There's in real life there's a bollard here. You aim to try and get to the top of the hill. Right, this is like our apex point. So looking for this. And we're going to use the hill to slow the car down. So at most tracks, you would be still braking in at this point, but because it's uphill so much at this point, you're going to turn in almost what feels like slightly too early, and the hill is going to kill the speed for the car. But by the time you reach the inside and basically you're up to this service road here, this is when you should be picking up the throttle. All right, pick up the throttle, force the car out. This is right on the limit for me. It's fractionally early, probably. Using a bit of the grass there on the exit, no off track on this occasion. Hold the car to the left-hand side for a short run to the line, and that's a lap at Oulton Park. So that brings us towards the end of the video now. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. And you can also find a link to the Coach Dave Academy Discord in the YouTube video description. There you'll find access to coaching, setups, and more from people like me and the other amazing people at CDA. My name's Bart. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next week. Bye.